Well, our next guest, of course, is a baseball legend, but he's also an ordained minister and someone who travels around the country speaking. My father saw him speak recently at Mountain Christian Church right here in Harford County. He is the great Darryl Strawberry, and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Darryl, it's Glenn. Thank you for taking the time for us. It's great to see you, man.
Thanks for having me, Glenn. It's good to be with you, man. I'm glad your father got a chance to hear me speak up there. So, of course, that introduction is pretty cool. A baseball player. I think a lot of times people think I forget about baseball. It's just that I love baseball, always will. It's just that I'm not around it like most people think I should be. It's because I got a higher calling up on my life, and really just became a different person and really experienced a lot of different things and helping a lot of people. And that's really cool to do.
I know that obviously was at the center of your book, Another Life, which is available now, and we're going to link it up on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio. But Darryl, I have to, because we're a sports show, I have to talk to you a little bit about some of the baseball stuff in there, in particular because I did not know the extent of your relationship with Davey Johnson. I was not aware of how personal it was, how deep it was. Obviously, I knew he was your manager, but I did not know all of the details of it. He's, of course, an Orioles legend. Can you share with our audience how important Davey Johnson was to you, why it went beyond just maybe your typical player-manager relationship?
Well, Davey Johnson was a very special person, more than just a manager. I mean, he loved and cared about his players. He cared about the development of his players, and he just let us be players. You know why? Because he was a player, and he played the game, and he had a clear understanding how hard it is to go out there and play and be successful. I think sometimes, guys get in those positions and they don't understand how to make a team work. Davey Johnson came in and he made us work together. He put us together, put the pieces together. And not only that, he was just like a father figure, to you, to not just to me, but to all. But he was very special to me because he just allowed me to be me. And when he had to challenge me, he would. When he had to discipline me, he did it. And that's what I loved about Davey. He didn't let anybody just get away with everything. A lot of times players push back because they're veteran players. And, Davey always looked at me as you're the star over here. You don't have to act like you're not. You don't have to act. You don't have to play behind anybody else. He says, you are the young man that, the organization brought up and developed, and you're a homegrown and player, and you're that player. You're that guy. We need you every day. We need you to go out there and be you. So that's what really made it special to me. And I got a chance to see him before he passed away. I went by his house and visited him, and it was just a real emotional moment for us, to spend that time together and just talk about life, just talk about everything that we had been through together. And my thing was to him is, why is Davey Johnson not in the Hall of Fame as a manager? That was my big question too. I mean, he was so great with so many different teams, and I think they just overlooked him. Baseball just overlooked him as what he had done for, so many different organizations and teams. And of course, we were the champions in '86, and we went to, 2 playoffs because you had to win the division back then, and we lost in '88 to the Dodgers. But if it had not been for Davey, we wouldn't have never been the Mets. When I came there, we were the Mutts. And Davey came over and took over, and we became the Mets. And he's the winningest manager for the New York Mets in history. And the great success he's had for so many other teams is just incredible. And people didn't recognize it. And it breaks your heart, and that's why he is the person he is today in my heart. Of course, I went to his funeral and I spoke at it, and it was really special. His wife, Susan, would ask me to do that for him because she said, Davey loved you, and he loved you so much. And he always talked about you as a special person.
You bring up the Mutts to the Mets, but the modern history of the Orioles is not so great other than we think about 96 and 97. And, of course, you told a story in the book that I did not know about at all, about you being with the Yankees and beating him. We still don't like to talk about it around here in Baltimore, Darryl. It wasn't a pleasant time, and we still think about that punk kid in right field, but we'll move on from it. But Davey actually coming and greeting you afterwards, which was really powerful.
It's incredible. I mean, that's just who he was. You know, that's the friendship, that's the bond that we had developed. I played for him for all those years over there in Queens, and he taught me so much. Him, and Coach Bill Robinson, and Buddy Harrelson, they were just wonderful people. And yes, when we won that series, he came over and he just gave me a big hug and he just said congratulations. And he said, you're special to me. You always will be special. You know, it wasn't about the fact that I was playing on the Yankees. It was about the fact that um, I was someone that would in his life for real. I wasn't just a player that just came around, you know. And I think a lot of times players come and go and managers come and go, but you know, when you have relationships with people like that, those are very special relationships. And I was forever grateful for that because, you know, I was coming back and, you know, no other team wanted me and the Yankees did. And Davey looked at me and he kind of saw me play. He knew in big situations that I was going to come through because I did it for him for so many times, you know, and he just kind of used to shake his head when I see him in the dugout over there after I hit a home run. He was like shaking his head to like, I've had this guy. I know what kind of player this guy is.
Yep. Yep. Thanks for the reminders, Straw. Thanks for the reminders. We really appreciate it. Totally over it and not thinking about it at all around here. Darryl Strawberry is with us. The book is Another Life. Do we say Pastor Straw now? Is that the appropriate way? Like, what's
No. I just call myself Darryl Strawberry.
All
right. I don't. You know, I'm a true evangelist. I travel the nation 270 times out of the year. But no, I don't. I don't really put a title as a pastor on me. I put myself as someone that's been called by God, and I finally answered the call. And it's not because of me. It's because of my mother. Her prayers behind the scenes, praying for me when I was playing Major League Baseball and living such a heathen lifestyle and, you know, womanizer, alcoholic, drug addict. She was praying that God would intervene and step in and stop me. And at some point he did. After it was all over, he would stop me in my tracks and he would call me to ministry. And I thought for sure, you know, you definitely got the wrong guy. Don't you know what I've been through?
I'm literally Darryl Strawberry. There's been an awful lot about me in the papers over the years.
Yes, and everybody's pointed their fingers at me and said things. And he goes, you're the perfect example. You're the person that I want to use because you have been through it. And I can take your mess of what you had in your life and bring it into a message to help so many other people. And I think that's what is so great about, you know, the Lord. He does not look at us like people look at us. He looks at us totally different. And that's what happened to me. And my life became transformed. I didn't go to school or anything. He called me right from where I was at and he transformed me and sat me for 7 years in church to go through discipleship and be disciplined and learn the word. And, you know, through my wife and my beautiful wife is just amazing. She was so patient with me to let me go through the process because she was already there. And we came together, and it's just a beautiful thing when you do that and you let the Lord be the leader over your life, and then you go into this plan and go out there and help the multitude of people and care for people and love people.
Darryl, is there like a moment that for you look back upon and said, maybe I had to experience this darkness in order to find this light in my life?
I try to tell everybody you don't have to experience it. I was just hard-headed. And I try to tell people that you if God is reaching out for you and calling you for something, do it. Because if you don't, you're going to go through all the dark moments of life because you're going to pick your own ways of doing things. Glenn, I always tell people this. You can pick your sins, but you cannot pick your consequences. You know, consequences are the reality of what you pick. And most people don't realize that. I realize that today because I picked a lot of them and I had major consequences behind it. And once I got to the place of surrendering to him for his will, I became a different person. Now the transformation can take place, but you have to surrender. You can't straddle the fence. You know, a lot of people talk about it and a lot of people speak about it, but it's not how you talk. It's the action of the way you live. It's how you go about your business of living a different life. And for over 20 plus years now, I've just been living this way. It's been the joy of my life to live such a freedom and with great peace and understanding, clarity, and being able to go back and help people. So many of us that has these high platforms, God will really want to use us to help people, and so many are not. So many of us is just taking these platforms and we're using them for ourselves, and we're like, you see the guys on all these podcasts and different stuff I look at, and they're all bashing each other, and it's like, what are you doing here? You got a moment in time to live here. You're not going to be here forever. What kind of legacy are you going to leave? And that's what I really thought about, the legacy that is important to me as my family, as my wife and my children and my grandchildren, and my outside friends that I have in my life that are good around me. That's what's important at the end of the day, because the day gonna come. I just look at Phil Gardner passed away.
Yeah,
Another great baseball
no
player,
question.
manager. You don't stay here, and I think people don't really realize that their day gonna come. And will you be prepared for that?
Darryl, I think you probably are aware that in Baltimore there are a lot of folks that were worked up when they heard what you had said about Pete Alonso before the season. I know that you kind of clarified that immediately afterwards, but I'll tell you, I think I understood more of what you were trying to say after reading the book, because it felt like it was less about Pete and Baltimore and more about your own regret and what you dealt with in your career. Can you walk people through like how the pain that you felt having left the Mets, and why that maybe you were thinking about that as you were thinking about Pete Alonso?
Yes, people don't never understand it. A writer just writes something just to write it, to get a story. And I was talking about the fact that what it was like for me to leave to go to LA, and it had nothing to do with plan, you know, the plan for the Dodgers and the people. It had to do with me, my decision. Where I was at for 8 years, and I had that great success, and I was used to it one way and playing in a different style, and now you go to a different place. It has nothing to do with Baltimore. It has nothing to do with the organization. It has to do with what Pete accomplished over in Queens. It was big. He was on his way to. I was basically trying to explain. I explained it to the writer that he was on his way to breaking all the records in Met players'
Yeah.
history, and that's something big. You can never get that back now, because you decided it was time to move, and that's, of course, that's his decision, just like it was my decision. And what happens? Did I walk away and end up with a belly full of regrets? At some point, I did. And that's what I was trying to explain to the writer, that most people didn't catch. He's going to end up probably thinking he could have had the top numbers of all time in the history of the franchise. And when you look at that, he's not going to have that with the Baltimore organization. Yes, he's going to be great over there, and he's going to play well. Hopefully he plays well and do great things over there. And I think that's what people don't understand about baseball. It's not about any city, or it's not about a team. It's about a player. It's about a player legacy, and what kind of legacy he could have left for himself in Queens, but he won't be able to do that now because that's over.
Obviously, I mean, he got the home run record, but to your point, he might have gone down as the greatest Met of all time, right? Like that was very possible had he stayed there for years. Darryl, can you? He got off to a slow start here in Baltimore, and I wondered, as someone who had been through that before, like, is there a pressure maybe that you don't experience until the first time you're somewhere else, and everybody thinks of you as this larger than life figure, this conquering hero, the way that we treated Pete Alonso, the way I have no doubt in LA they treated you? Is there a pressure that maybe is different, for as great as Pete Alonso is, that he might not have been used to coming into Baltimore more, and that might have led to him maybe getting off to a little bit of a slow start?
It's not anything new. We all do it. When you become a free agent, you go somewhere, and you start off slow, and everybody think, wow, well, did we make a mistake? Just because of a slow start. It's a new place. It's a new atmosphere. What most people have to understand, he's in the American League now. He's not in the National League. If it was the National League, he knows the National League well. He does not know the American League well, even though you played in interleague and all
Mm-hmm.
that kind of baseball stuff that they do these days. But he has to settle in and get adjusted to just a whole new team, a whole new atmosphere, a whole new city. It's part of it. I went through it when I played in LA my first year. I ran into the wall and dislocated my shoulder, and I missed about 7 weeks, 7 to 8 weeks. And I was like, I was never hurt like this, missing the beginning of the season. So I had to come back at some point in that season. And when I came back, I just lit it up. I was on fire because I'm a baseball player. At some point, hopefully that will happen for him. It's a new beginning and a new place. And he's going to have some ups and downs right now, but he's a baseball player and he knows how to figure it out. He's done it a long time. And hopefully he gets it going soon. I love Pete. Pete was a great guy. Me and him had a great relationship. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what kind of writer want to say. I said, "Does Pete know that's not me? He know the writer just as well as I know the writers in New York." They love to stir
No,
up stuff.
did they ever write about you? Did they ever
Yeah,
write
yeah.
about you and Doc ever?
Yeah, they write about everybody. It's just who they are. Yeah, and they don't really care. They look for headlines. And I wish Pete nothing but the best, and I wish him and his family all the best. And that's the decision he made for himself. That's the right decision he made for himself to come to Baltimore and play. And I just know once he get going in that little ballpark, the way he hit the ball, eventually he's gonna tear it up.
Yeah, we're looking forward to him hitting hundreds of home runs in Baltimore, obviously. Darryl, we got to know you a little bit years ago when DJ, of course, was playing at the University of Maryland, and it was awesome to have you at the games. But I think it was also really compelling in reading the book, and I know it wasn't a deep part of it, but talking about where you were in your life then and how your life has changed and sort of recognizing the man that you were and that you needed to be for DJ and the family sort of atmosphere that you have now. Can you share just a little bit about that with us? And I have no doubt the pride that you have in DJ, who I actually got to follow. Ironically, Darryl, I was here at Maryland covering Maryland, and then I shipped off to Phoenix and took a radio job in Phoenix right at the moment that DJ got drafted by the Suns. So it was cool for me to know somebody out in Phoenix the moment that I showed up.
Well, I'm extremely proud of DJ. He's accomplished a lot, and his career playing in Maryland, playing for Gary Williams. I think Gary was the right kind of coach for him. Brought a lot of discipline and understanding of the game, and he had a lot of fun playing there. And he just went on to have a career overseas and be successful. He lives in Spain. He has a family and kids, and he's married, and he's doing well. And I think about the parts of life, where I was at the time and the struggle I was in. I affected my kids in such a way, and which really hurted me. But I was able to redeem myself and rebuild my relationship with all my kids and have such a wonderful family. We got a blended family. We have 9 kids together, me and my wife, Tracy. She's got 3 and I got 6. And we have a blended family, and all the kids are great. They all love each other. They're close. And it's just really cool to see and to be the example of the father that I am now, and him to watch me. He's watching me as a man of faith, and it's just completely blowing him away and all my kids away because I'm so different. And my life is not about me. My life is about them. Because I remember the statement my mother said, "It's not important to be important."
Hmm.
Okay, she gave me that. So that's what I live off today. It's not important. I'm not one of these athletes running around here with the uniform on, still celebrating myself. I'm celebrating my children, my grandchildren, my wife, and my work that I'm been called to do. It's more important than any trophy and any ring. Yes, I've had great success and played in a lot of great games and done a lot of great things. I'll never forget that. That was the platform that was given to me to walk in the doors that I get to walk in and write books like today, Another Life. Living another life is clearly the life that I always expected to live from the start, but I just didn't because I didn't have a male figure in my life to guide me and help me and show me navigate through the system we call. And what we live in today, it's just completely gone chaotic. And I don't want my kids to ever experience that. I'm glad they didn't have to play at the professional level like I did, here in the States or anything. They went overseas, both of my boys, Jordan too, and DJ. But I'm glad they didn't have to play in this lifestyle of NBA and travel and get caught up into all the things in the trap holes that's in there. And they've been able to go on and be wonderful kids. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed that they never had to go through the struggles. My struggles, I sat in front of them and told them, you do not want to go through this type of life. It's hard. It's difficult. Make the right choices. Because if you don't, you have to pay a price for it. And I was a father to be able to give that to my kids, and that's what I'm really grateful for.
Again, the book is called Another Life, and it is available right now. And we did link it up on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio for you to check it out. It's a beautiful story, and there's no doubt there's somebody right now who's going through it and who thinks they're in their darkest moment. And I have no doubt that it's going to be powerful for them to read your words and to hear your message of hope. And it's a truly beautiful thing, man. Darryl, so happy for that life that you have found and that happiness and that peace that has come for you at this point of your life. And we will, at least for now, forgive you for what happened in 1996, although I'm very much never going to truly be over it. Darryl,
Well, thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Glenn, for that. And this happiness, I just want people to know, and this freedom, it's there for everybody. It's not just for me. It's there for everybody. God has it for everybody. His grace is sufficient for everybody. And if you just accept the principles and accept following his way of life, it's different. It's not like what we're living in the flesh. We're fleshly bodies and we live in it and we react to everything. But he's not. He's spirit and he's truth and he's holy and he teaches you how to operate and teach you how to live and teaches you what's important in this life.
Darryl, thank you for taking the time for us. A continued success and health and happiness to you and your family. Appreciate you doing this, man.
Thank you for having me, Glenn. I appreciate you, brother.